Hello everybody, Glitch Ripper here. I'm back from another Lycanites equipment combos, and this one is kind of a semi-request in a way. Uh, it's Harmonike. It's a pike meant to harmonize with your other weapons, kind of prepping you for better combat. The thing is, somebody was wondering about, like, the upcoming port to the Titans mod and thinking, we need one to fight Titans. And I'm thinking, sort of, but not exactly. The thing is that there's not an indefinite amount of damage that Lycanite's equipment can do. Certainly not this time. I don't know if he's going to go into anything like modifiers and things like that, like Tinker's Construct did. Probably not at least not in the same way, so I don't think they're going to have, like, the ability to just have, like, an absolute ton of damage stacked onto them. I mean, they can do a lot of damage, but there is an upper limit. And because of that, I was thinking, well, maybe you could have one help out with another major weapon. Because one thing is, there are certain traits to how Titans work, and assuming a lot of that's preserved in the port, which a lot of it will be, there's things you kind of got to know about them. Like, the fact is that they negate any damage under 50 points. Like, straight up, they have that as a damage reduction. So, because of that, and the fact that I don't even know if I've hit for that hard, except possibly maybe on a crit with the pre-nerfed versions of these, then, yeah, I don't think that's going to be useful in a Titan fight that much, or for that matter, against their minions. I mean, you gotta remember, you fight a Titan, you go up against their entire faction. And this is going to be useful for helping you fight their faction, if not maybe the Titan himself later, but only with the help of other weapons, because this one will help you buff yourself up and increase the damage that you'll do overall. But you gotta remember, while that state lasts, you can swap out to another weapon. Now, the thing is, you're not really buffing your own attack power. You're debuffing their defense. Whenever you hit with penetration, you add extra damage that's on that one target. So, as long as that one target has penetration, you can hit them harder with something. And it doesn't have to be the same weapon. Here's why I'm thinking of something that'll harmonize with others. So this design is kind of under special request. So, it's a bit of both. Because it's good on its own, but it's really probably going to shine the most whenever you have another weapon. Now, I was going over a few different ideas of how to work this, and I may wind up having a 2.0 version. This one is also going to be useful as a ranged weapon as well, and which you'll probably generally need. The thing is, a lot of members of the factions won't necessarily have as heavy armor as their primes. So think about that. You could probably gun a few down or slow them down in other ways. So being able to use rapid-fire Devil Star shots would be good against the faction, even if not against the Titan himself. So that's something to kind of consider for future versions. I don't think they're getting nerfed because of combat update issues. So just think about that when you're thinking about the idea of, oh, we need something to go against Titans later. Now, that said, Lycanite's mobs equipment does have certain advantages, like they have ways of dealing with the attack speed. Like this design has an attack speed of 2.2. That's not exactly pure spam speed, but it is faster than a diamond sword, so it will come in handy for striking quicker and helping you to hit targets that may have a considerable amount of health, and you need to hit them more consistently and quickly so you can deal with that. And that's also true of some other mobs that are already in these higher versions. So you kind of got to think of that all together. Now this one will be also very good for mining, which also kind of comes up against powerful mobs, because some of those mods that add them add ores that are useful against them, like trying to mine Harcadium for fighting Titans. If you need to, say, strip mine, you might need something a bit better. A bit better than a pickaxe, and this thing will definitely do it because of one of his components. You notice the spike on the end? Yep, it's Geonox spear time again. So yeah, you can just smash through swaths of area with this thing. It's going to be really cool. As usual, I'll go over the parts that you'll be needing for it, and what you're going to be hunting down, and kind of where they tend to be. So that's gonna be a pretty big deal, because you'll definitely want to go heavily hunting for them and prepping for this to get this weapon if you're gonna want to use a heavily assisted strike. I'm not going to be going up against a particularly big opponent today, but how fast it goes down might be a good indicator, because you got to remember, even though the Titan himself might not be your major concern at the exact time, their faction members will be all over the place, and some of them have massively enhanced health. So you'll want to be able to hit them like a sledgehammer every time. So think about that. You will want to be prepared. That said, let's start going over things. As usual, I also have my various displays. And NATO the Potato is looking particularly nice with his copy. So, yeah. I think it's between him and this right now, actually, for the demo, because if you look at the right angle, it's pretty easy to just see the whole thing with the transparency. I keep looking for a better transparent glass. I know, it's actually kind of hard. This is actually working pretty well because it's not clipping too majorly into the floor. These display it perfectly, actually, on the side, because it's not dangling off the edge with this direction from this one. This one just a little bit past with the main spikes, but that also makes it look kind of good. So, you know. But now, to go into the various parts and things, remember you'll also be needing these blocks to be doing your designs. The Lesser Equipment Forge is a crafting table with a wooden axe. The greater one is the Lesser Equipment Forge plus an iron block. The Master one is the greater one plus a diamond block. And again, it's the only one you really need in the end once you can get to it, because they can do all the part levels and without any kind of demoting, because normally if you use a part that's too high a level, it would be demoted to one that it could work with. So if you try putting a level 3 into a level 2 forge, you'll wind up demoting it to a level 2. So please remember to go for the big one. It's a wise investment in resources. You'll also be needing an equipment infuser to give them their experience, and that is a Lesser Equipment Forge surrounded in the crafting table with lapis lazuli. Remember, that's 8 pieces, not 1. I just put that up there as a reminder. So, as for the parts themselves, you'll be needing, for the main part, you'll be needing a Zaffin spine. This is really good because it's a base part that adds both a head and a pommel, and it adds penetration as an effect. So this is where you're going to be stacking on that extra damage with your complementary weapon. But it is going to be a bit of an issue getting a hold of it, because Zaffins only occur under certain circumstances where elements are mixing, and they can occur as fusions of other elementals. They may show up where you're, say, having an attempt to generate stone or cobblestone with mixing lava and water. But they can also, again, show up as fusions of other elementals, so you may want to do that instead. is just hoping you can get a few corralled near each other. In fact, if you have mods to capture other elementals and you happen to know the right combo, you might want to kind of force them into the same place. So that might be a bit of a strategy to consider, is fuse them up and then beat them to get the spine. Your pommel will be, again, a nice deserty Sudaramu stinger. You will be finding the Sudaramu in deserts, and they are rather large scorpions, so they will show up fairly easily. You'll know whenever you see one. It adds movement slowdown and hunger. So mobs that can be affected by hunger, which is kind of rare, it'll be a little extra bonus, but you're mainly trying to slow down your targets, because a lot of those faction members move like grease lightning, especially the zealots. So while this one isn't really a fully paralytic design, you will be slowing them down enough where you might actually be able to hit them decently with your other weapon that you're going to be trying to boost up. It also harvests as hoe and shears, but that's kind of inconsequential when it comes to the combat implications here. But hey, if you happen to need to use a hoe to help you do some farming, which after the port may include the all-important mulgrim fruit, then yeah, you might want to really consider the fact it gives you access to hoe. Shearing, well, you know where that's standing for right now. The ability to do shear functions on, getting whole blocks back that you'd normally be able to shear isn't quite there yet, but you can in fact shear sheep Although because this has a use function otherwise because of the Astaroth Claw, I wouldn't suggest actually using it near your sheep, because you would probably shoot them and shear them at the same time. So please be wary of that, although at some angles I guess you can make it work. The Astaroth Claw is found usually from Astaroths in either the Nether or the End, although who knows, they might show up elsewhere. It gives you not only a withering effect on the target to try to wear them down, but also gives you the ability to do rapid-fire shots of Devil Stars. So that's going to be rather useful. And it has a bit of a sweep to it, so that helps. It does add the pike slot, so your head part here is going to be determining that this is going to be a pike, hence Harmonike. It harmonizes with your other weapons, and it's a pike. So, there you go. The Geonok Spear, it's a pretty heavy attack power piece. I mean, most pikes in Lycanites will have pretty heavy attack power. Hence why this thing has like 13 once it's fully assembled. Now, it also gives you resistance at the same time. Whenever you hit with it, you'll be given resistance for a little while. And that's also where a lot of the harmonizing comes in, is if you're fighting an army, you may want to have at least a bit of resistance to last longer. And I gotta tell you, I don't think Life Leech is going to help out as much against a Titan as resistance. Because if they hit you, they're going to hit you for a ton of damage, and you'll want to be able to have like the heftiest armor and with the greatest amount of resistance you can. So this would at least add a little bit if you don't already have some. So it's mostly a last-ditch effort to preserve yourself from a colossal stomping. So in the idea of the Titan's port, consider this to be a literal lifesaver. Because whether it's a direct Titan hit or one of their servants that's been supercharged, you might want to consider just preserving your life. And the Geonok Spear, it comes from Geonoks. They show up from ores that drop the block, not something else. So whenever you're mining iron ore, gold ore, things like that, you'll probably get a Geonok to show up. And from them you can get the Geonok Spear as well as Geonok Fists. If you're mining something like diamond or emerald, you'll probably get a Vapula instead. And they give you their Vapula Crystal. Both of which are weak against pickaxes, so if you have anything that harvests a pickaxe from Lycanites mobs that you've assembled, or if you have something that counts as a pickaxe otherwise, it can deal serious damage to them, so it makes it easier to not only mine, but also to get rid of them whenever they happen to be in your way. So, it's multiple use. Now it's time for the full assembly, the renaming, and some demonstrations. So happy hunting for your parts, because if you're going along with that idea of what to use after the Titan's port, you're going to need them. A lot. Trust me, as someone who's dealt with Titans before, you're going to be seriously considering having some serious strategy. So, yeah. As you can see, we have it where they are basically functionally at that. Still, I never do seem to track that down right. At least not on this particular world. But yeah, as you can see, they're the identical weapons now, so we're ready on that front. Now, another thing, do consider the fact that you might want to be able to fast switch, so maybe I can finally track down that button. Oh, wrong thing. Because I know it's conflicting something. That's what I was suspicious it was. Was that the only thing set to F? Because I may need to fast switch to demonstrate the best way to do this. Okay. There we go. Because that way you can do a quick attack. You can fire from your offhand. You can fire from your main. In the case of having a complementary weapon, this is where things get interesting. Because of course, if Fire from your offhand and swipe. However, remember that because of how this thing strikes, it'll probably be better to just have 2 on your hotbar, because you'll be getting mostly the big effects that you're after whenever you directly hit with it. So even though you can use it as a backup ranged weapon, the bigger thing will be having it right alongside your main one, because whenever you directly hit with it, you'll be given them penetration. The ranged attack won't actually do that. So consider that rather carefully. Now, speaking of ranged attacks, I might be testing out a little something while I'm doing some fighting here as part of the demonstration. Again, remember, as I said, this can do some serious mining, and it is one of those things that's kind of impressive. So, yeah. Well, I'm gonna go more into the combat part here. Let's see if I can get into a decent spot. This looks like a decent spot here, and I could probably also crack all that, you know? That's a good thing to demonstrate on, actually. That's a very good thing to demonstrate on, because I do need to crack all this water. There we go. It broke it too fast. Okay, that's actually kind of funny. It breaks it so fast it doesn't know how to fill in. Okay. Well, it breaks it sequentially so fast that it doesn't get to liquefy all in time. So, you could use this as an ice buster. I hadn't even thought of that until that happened. Okay, fair enough. Also remember, of course, as I was saying before, you can hoe and shoot at the same time. Again, why I do not suggest using it to shear sheep. That could be terribly bad. Okay, now let's go with the Yeti. I have to wind this up. It didn't work as well as I was thinking. Well, you got penetration. Boing. Yep, that's pretty quick. Pretty sure that I just super smashed him so hard it was ridiculous. So, yeah, I'd say this would be able to assist in large boss, mini-boss, or elite situations, because I just kind of throttled that poor Alpha Yeti. I mean, seriously, that was intense. Although I did find out what I was trying to figure out with the Gravitate Boomerang. Enemies that are strong against launch apparently can resist it, but it doesn't seem to have durability. I like that, because I am in survival mode right now. Can I fling something else upward? Yeah, he got flung upward. So, it still works on creatures. It's just that the boss was a little resistant to being thrown upward. I think it's because Yetis use that attack themselves, so they kind of are a little resistant to being launched. I gotta try. Can I knock you out of the water? Nope. Water causes it to be a bit tricky to deal with. Oh, no, it wasn't that it has unlimited durability. It's because of my whole repair thing. Never mind. But still, good combo there. And for that matter, seriously helped throttle that Yeti. I mean, seriously, the Yeti did not know what hit him. It was ridiculous. Because the frozen potato cleaver deals like 40 plus points of damage. It's from Thumb Potatoes 2, and just 40 points of damage. Think of any damage multiplier on that, even if it's like an additional plus 25% damage per level of effect or something like that. With Penetration 3, you're dealing an additional 75% damage. So that means this thing was dealing 70 damage per hit in terms of things that were unarmored. So you can tell how I 3-shot that Yeti. 1 hit from this, 3 from this, it's over. So, ouch. you can tell the age of assisting your weapons is going to be a big deal in future combat against big things. So just think about for the future and just how powerful this combination really was. That was just ridiculous. For now, I'll be logging off. Hope to hear from you all later, and bye for now, everybody.